It's Indiana in the morning, and it's AM 1160 WCCS, 101.1 FM at 747, 13 away from the top of the hour. He's Bob Pollock from the Extension Service with us this morning, 479-1160. If you have a question for Bob, or 349 WCCS, it's 349-9227. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's lovely again today.
Isn't it, though? Wouldn't it be wonderful if the front would come through? We had the rain. We needed a little rain.
We got
it. Now it could go away. Sunshine,
We could maybe get a temperature that is over 70 degrees at some point during the month of May. Gracious sakes.
We're getting there.
You keep saying that. Every week you say that, and we never do quite get there. So, a cool, wet spring for us here, these last couple of weeks especially, and we're dealing with that in terms of lawns and gardens and things like that. And, well, folks have issues, and here's one right now. Good morning.
Good morning.
What can we do for you today?
I have some black raspberry bushes, and they have like an orange kind of a scale on the bottom of the leaves, and I'm wondering if it's some type of a fungus or something, and what can I do to possibly get rid of that?
I'll let you know that when you said that, Bob shook his head. He knows exactly what the problem is.
Oh, good. I hope that he can help.
Yeah, the very highly scientific name for that is orange rust.
Oh, okay.
So it's not so highly scientific.
Okay.
But it's actually it's not exactly a fungus. It's a rust. So it's a disease that gets grouped in the rust. And so that orange, the spores are on the undersides of the leaves, and then they will, when it's moist, they will disperse, open up and disperse a kind of cloud of rusty material. And so that's where they get the name. Because it's orange and because it's a rust, that's what they call it. It looks like rust, that you'd get on steel.
So what does she do about it?
Well, that is usually will cause the decline of the planting. So you might lose a cane here, a cane there, and then a plant over time.
Okay.
So it will reduce the stand and kill off plants. It's not going to do it overnight. There's lots of it out in the environment because we have a lot of, when you drive down the road and along the roadsides and underneath the power lines and other places as well, we have a lot of just wild brambles that grow there. So those become a source of where those diseases can keep, they can be harbored there. They live in those plants, and of course some of those die too, but then other ones come back, but it becomes a source that can then infect your planting. So we try to keep things as best as possible. Any of those kind of wild stands, keep them as far away, or plant your plants as far away from those kind of situations as possible. If you don't want to, there's not very many options for treatment of that.
Is it better just to possibly prune those canes away?
Yes, that is definitely one of the management tips would be to prune anything that's infected or even branches or, part of a branch, because the stem, you could still leave the stem and cut that stem back part way and then let it try to branch out again.
Okay.
But to remove that, and then you can either bag that up or bury it or burn it.
So there's no other sprays or anything that would possibly take it away? And I need to double check to see whether you can get anything at the garden store that will work on that. Okay.
There's only one or two options, and it's very specific products with specific active ingredients that will work on that. One of the
and
things
that would prevent
yes.
healthy plants from being susceptible to this. It wouldn't treat the plants that already have.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're trying to prevent it from spreading onto new growth and unaffected foliage. So with rust as well as other fungal diseases, we're usually trying to protect and prevent versus once the leaves or the plant's infected, it's infected. So we're always trying to protect new growth and prevent it from even getting on a plant to begin with.
All right.
The other thing that we can use on brambles is lime sulfur.
Okay.
And that is usually something we do. It's too late to do that now, But
Right.
early in the spring, and if you call the office or email me, either way, I will follow up and give you more detail on orange rust and how to control it on your brambles.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
your help.
Thank you. There you go. Yet another attacker.
Yes. Yeah, so lime sulfur, anyhow, that's put on early in the season. We usually put that on before the leaves come out in the spring.
Okay.
And that can help prevent some of the diseases. And there's also other diseases that'll get on those bramble plants. They call it spur blight, and there's cane blight. Both of those, of course, get on the canes, but the spur blight gets where a bud opens up into a branch. That's called a spur, and the fungus will actually attack right at that point there, and you'll get a circular area that'll turn dark, and then that whole branch will die.
Okay.
And the cane blights are the same way.
Let's take another caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
Yes, good morning.
A similar question. I was out walking through a line of juniper trees that we have planted. They've only been in 2 years. Last week I noticed these pods, so I pulled the pods off. But last night when I went out, I saw this bright orange, like a jellyfish. And I pulled those off, and then I came on to the internet, and I just typed in orange jelly-like material on juniper trees. And this came up that it was a cedar apple rust.
Yes.
And what I read about it, it said that it won't kill a tree. It goes to a crab apple or a hawthorn, but I could treat it with, it seemed to me, the same stuff that you treat early blight on tomatoes.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, is that what I do? Should I spray
On-
that? It didn't give me any instructions. It just said this is something that could be used to treat it.
Treat that. Yes, so that's an interesting disease, cedar apple rust. So it has two hosts, and it has to alternate between those two hosts for that cedar apple rust disease to complete its life cycle and keep going. If it doesn't have the other host, then it'll die off. On the juniper, you can actually just clip those off, and the sooner the better, so that they don't release more spores.
Okay, I think I got them all.
Okay.
Small trees right now. They're only about 6 feet tall.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so doing that, because those are highly visible, and they're contained at that point on the branch, just snipping that off below that will eliminate and save you a lot of trouble down the road by doing that. And then you could follow up with an application of a fungicide that to control that, to spray the juniper with, to help prevent any further disease development.
Okay.
Do you have
Great.
any crab apples or hawthorns close by? There has to be some somewhere close by.
I have an ornamental miniature crab tree down. It's probably about 30 yards away.
Okay.
It's just a tiny, tiny little crab apples. There's some apple trees in a neighbor a couple houses away.
All right. That's close enough.
Okay.
So there just has to be that alternate host. So this may continue to, so it's also completing its life cycle, other stage of that on those crab apples or hawthorns nearby, and then it's jumping back over to your junipers.
What is a hawthorn? I guess I don't know what a hawthorn is.
Well, a hawthorn has a little different shaped leaf. It's a spring flowering tree. Usually they're small trees. And sometimes they have thorns, and sometimes they don't have thorns. They'll also get berries. They look pretty similar to a crab apple. The leaf shape's different. The growth is different a little bit, and but both smaller ornamental trees.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now. My goodness gracious, this is like I feel like I'm watching an episode of Alien. It's completing its life cycle by attaching itself to your trees.
Yes, and you should have Googled that so you could see what those jelly-like masses.
I don't want to. I'm afraid.
Probably about the size of a golf ball.
Yeah.
But they'll get these jelly-like masses that'll be attached to a
And in both
branch.
cases, it's spores that are carried on the breeze.
Yes, so
and that's how they come to infect these particular plants.
So when we have wetting periods, when it's damp, moist, and it doesn't have to, so we've had rain, but we've had enough periods of moisture, and dew will also factor in. We've been having rain and showers lately to keep things damp, but that's when all the rusts and the fungus will sporulate, release those so that it can start a new infection somewhere else.
See, I said to myself this morning, at some point I want to find a way that I could use the word sporulate in a sentence.
On the drive-in here,
And you beat me to it.
when you're dodging deer and other things.
I'm going to sporulate right on out of here toward the top of the hour with Fox News. Thank you,
You're
Mr.
quite
Pollock.
welcome.
It's Indiana in the Morning on AM 1160 WCCS and 101.1 FM.